guys.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Lovely to see you.
Always is.
And welcome back to our listeners.
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us. This is going to be a good one.
Yes, I had so much fun with this one.
Pull up a chair of your choice.
An Eames, maybe.
I would do bad things for an Eames.
You're not alone.
It's one of my life goals.
Same.
All right, so we've just watched season 1, episode 19. Give him the chair. This is one of those episodes that I don't really think about until I watch, and then I watch it and I'm like, I like this episode.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I felt.
It's so good.
Good writing. This episode had great writing.
I think it addresses something we needed to address by this point, and that's how Frasier feels about the chair.
Oh, yeah.
It's bubbling under the surface, you know it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've been in denial.
I mean, think about it. Like, as season 1 starts to wind itself down and come to a close, at some point Frasier's got to bring this up. So I think this was just the right time.
Yeah, it just can't go without being addressed. He's just got to have a go at the chair, basically.
The extra duct tape kind of nudges this along.
Have you guys ever owned chairs with duct tape?
No.
Cannot say that I have.
When I was growing up, we had 2 living rooms. We had like the everyday living room, but then we had the other living room that was just for company, just for guests.
Yeah.
And if mom ever caught you in there, you better have a good excuse for being in there.
Oh, yeah. We had that too. That's such a 90s thing.
It is. And it was always like a pride point with my parents to be like, this is like the floor model. Like, it was like to the T, like the picture in the magazine, like down to every detail.
Yeah. Our family's fancy living room was the decor was also very 90s. There's a lot of mauve and Wedgwood blue and like taupe. And I'm just like, oh, I remember as a kid just thinking it was the most bleak color palette. And just wondering, why is this what we want to show off to people?
And my mother would die if she had Marty's chair, even within an inch of her fabulous living room. It was gorgeous. So, no duct tape to answer your question.
Not at all.
Yeah, growing up, my parents had inherited this really bulky, ugly lounge suite from my grandparents that they had for years. They did get it reupholstered at one point, which made it look a bit better, but yeah, it was just this big, heavy, bulky 1950s furniture that my grandfather won at a fair.
Very nice.
He would have been like Marty if he had his chair. Wow.
I remember it had a fern pattern.
Oh, nice.
It was very brown. Wasn't quite Marty's level of design, but it was close. It was close. I'll have to find a picture for you guys.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Oh, man. You know what's interesting, though? My parents, they very much shared in the not fancy living room, they had a Marty-like attitude towards chairs. They did not want leather seating for a lot of similar reasons that Marty raises. And so our comfy living room furniture was all like corduroy. So maybe it's Marty adjacent, but the colors were a little more muted.
Well, all the talk of the chair, we're forgetting that the episode opens talking about male menopause. And I feel like Frasier was having like a hot flash moment. Like, some of his behaviors was so extreme throughout this episode. I was like, maybe he was exhibiting male like, I never even knew male menopause was a thing. Is it really a thing, or was it just made up for the show?
I think it's the kind of thing where like the person who came up with the idea and wrote the book wants it to be a thing, but I don't know if it's scientifically a thing.
Yeah, like in psychology, do they even have a concept of male menopause?
I have never heard of it outside of this context. So no, it sounds like the kind of thing that you do to sell a book, but it's an interesting framing setup for the episode, because you're not wrong. there's a lot of interesting moments in the episode that could be traced back to that. Although the first one actually happens right away when the author of the book, centers his entire conversation on Roz.
Oh, in her sensuous voice.
Wild.
I like how Frasier thinks it's about him.
Frasier thinking things are about him is the entirety of his existence.
Yes.
And he goes, why, thank you. It's like, that was not for you, Frasier.
He'll take a compliment.
Yeah.
Even one that's not for him.
Yeah.
That's right. But in reality, Kelsey does have a beautiful buttery voice. Like it's so yeah. But Roz, yes, I love that the flirting going on between when he was trying to ask her out on a date, and then Frasier flips the picture. She goes, "Ooh, no." But she entertained it for a minute.
Yeah, so we'll get into it. So, as we've just discussed, we're at KCL, and Frasier departs from his usual call-in format to introduce a special guest, Dr. Helmut Brugger, author of the book The Menopausal Male. However, instead of talking about his book, Dr. Brugger instead flirts with Roz. He asks her out, and Frasier holds up the book so she can see Dr. Brugger's picture, and she declines his offer.
I mean, given the little vignettes we've gotten of Roz's dating life, I mean, she's just on fire lately.
Yeah. I know. She is. She's having a hot girl summer. Well, I don't even know if it's summer. A Seattle summer. Maybe it's, I don't know. But she was having
having a moment.
Yeah, I was like, look at you, Roz. You look good. Your hair is gorgeous. She's got this, cute little outfit she's sporting. She's doing it.
She was receptive to Dr. Brugger's flirtations until she saw what he looked like.
Yes, I think had he been more of a George Clooney kind of silver fox, I think she would have definitely said yes.
However, if he was like a George Clooney silver fox, would he be writing a book called The Male Menopause and talking about it on talk radio?
No. So it's more like George Clooney's cousin that works at the university. That kind of silver fox.
So at Frasier's apartment, Daphne answers the door to Niles. He's dropped by to hide a gift for Maris, an emerald necklace. He shows Daphne and offers for her to try it on. Daphne turns and lifts her hair up to allow Niles to fasten it around her neck when he drops the necklace and it slips down the front of her shirt.
This is just a hilarious moment of physical comedy. And I sincerely want to know how many takes this scene took, because just especially Daphne's kind of elbow configuration when she's reaching for the necklace, too perfect.
She looked so cute and adorable though, and I love when she goes, "It's down me blouse." and Niles, he has the look of guilt on his face because he really knows he's enjoying this moment.
Oh yeah, he dropped that necklace on purpose.
Oh, that's really? I always thought it was an accident. He did it on purpose?
I think he did.
I missed it. I thought it was an accident.
I also thought it was an accident, but this is a really interesting
Laura,
one.
but you know what though? She knows Niles. She knows her Niles. So.
He just lets it go.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
But no, I think it's a beautifully crafted scene. He comes over, he flicks her the necklace out of the box, which she catches. He's just all puppy dog eyes.
Yes.
He's showing off. Here he is. He's a rich doctor with emeralds, and he's showing off to this housekeeper.
Yeah, you're right. Emeralds. Yes, you're right. I never even thought of it like that. Thank you for opening my eyes.
It's a nice looking necklace.
Oh yeah.
I'd want to try on emeralds.
with Niles' help, or
yeah, with Niles' help.
I was gonna say he looked so handsome in his suit too. He was looking good. I really loved this episode. Everything was hitting the marks. Everybody had their timing right. Everything, even when Frasier came in, and how he responded was right on point.
Hello, Niles. Whatever are you doing here?
I bought an emerald necklace for Maris, and I needed someplace to hide it for her.
Emeralds? Well, may I see it?
Not at the moment, no.
Why not?
It's down my blouse.
I see. Well, I'm sure Maris will never think of looking for it there.
It slipped down there when I was trying it on. I'll just go extract it.
Just call me Butterfingers.
Join a health club, Niles.
I love this episode. It's like a warm blanket. I love this episode.
Martin and Eddie arrive home from their trip to the hardware store and he pulls out a roll of duct tape to patch up a rip on his chair. Frasier is upset by this. He suggests bringing the Eames down for Martin to sit on, but Martin declines, saying it's too fancy for him.
Oh, Martin, fumbling. You have an Eames on offer.
That man knows what he wants. And it ain't that.
More for us, right?
What I noticed here is this is almost like a setup for a joke in the finale. So this is a bit of a spoiler for Simone, who hasn't watched the final episode.
Uh-oh.
So he says here it's too fancy for him. But in the finale, after he's moved out, Frasier's brought the Eames down and it's sitting where the chair used to be. And Martin comes and sits in it and he goes, oh yeah, I would have been okay with this.
Okay, that's worth knowing. Okay. Oh.
It is a fantastic joke, but I think like it also underpins that like Frasier wasn't really wrong here because the Eames is not just form, it's function.
Writers, I'm sorry, now I'm just stuck on the finale. How would writers know to connect like that joke? Like that's from like the finale, because we're in season 1, episode 19. And like that, how did that make it to the finale of all the jokes and all the, like that's.
I think that's fantastic. I love that they reached this far back.
Yeah, that is really, wow. I'm impressed. Okay, sorry. Carry on.
Frasier complains to Niles that he's upset with all the effort he's put into decorating his apartment and it's ruined by the chair. Niles asks why Frasier doesn't just ask Martin to get rid of it, and Frasier says it's not that simple. Niles thinks that Frasier is afraid to standing up to Martin, and Frasier points out Niles is too. Well, at least Niles doesn't have to live with something unattractive, to which Frasier gives a very pointed look in response. This is like the second jab he's pinned at Maris in this like in the last like 2 minutes, because before that Martin's like, oh, I saw this ratchet set, and Frasier's like, as if she's got anything left to tighten.
Amazing.
But maybe that's why Niles is always kind of like, getting at Frasier, calling what he does, just like not really. How would he would call it, like something dispenser, psychology, or
fast food.
Fast food, yeah,
Yeah.
Because he makes all these digs against Maris. He's like, I got you. I got your number. I know how to push your buttons.
Well, it's also, I mean, like for, the longest time, the Niles Lilith dynamic was pretty openly hostile as well. So I think that's just the nature of their relationship.
Yeah. And it came through perfectly. It was a really fun moment. I loved it.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about the this discussion between Frasier and Niles about the chair.
Frasier, there's a perfectly sound psychological basis for getting rid of this chair.
Oh, really? Well, enlighten me, Doctor.
With pleasure. Originally, Dad needed it to bridge the transition from his old apartment to life here with you. But as with all transitional objects, be they a teddy bear, be they a thumb, be they a blankie, be they a chair.
Stop saying be they!
Niles is referring to it as a transitional object. And my favorite thing about this list is he references, a teddy bear and a blankie and a thumb as though you get rid of that. Like, I
thought of that. I said, that's weird.
Like, I get what he's grouping together, but I'm also like, yeah, but you don't cut off your thumb when you're not a kid anymore.
He should have said, what's the pacifier?
Yeah.
Maybe it was supposed to be pacifier, right?
Maybe, but I think it's almost funnier that he overboards
that. He said thumb,
because
right, you don't get your thumb.
I'm just like, ha 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 ha. What are you suggesting, Niles?
I like how he mentions blankie
Good
because
catch.
then he goes back to how Martin used Frasier's blankie to clean his service revolver.
The Crane family dynamics. They're something.
You don't really understand the value of a transitional object until you have a child. because like my kids, like if I try to move something, like they know specific like important things about this thing, and I'm like, this is just like a piece of paper, and they're like, no, this has significance, and it's because it's like a transitional object to them. So kids really teach you like how important their stuff is, and like if you move it or disrespect it, like Frasier did to that chair, you know, to Marty's chair.
Yeah. Well, it's also, you know, it's an emotional placeholder as much as anything else. It's not about the object itself, it's about what you map to it.
That's and that's so funny how Marty, he like when we get into that, how he really was like, this had so much more significance to me than aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I thought that to be so profound and like really touching.
And it's also it's a great contrast because the way a kid would articulate the importance of their blankie versus the way an adult who's had many more years and life experiences to tie to something. Yeah, it's a nice contrast.
And then it's like, and it's funny how like, because transitional objects, you really kind of identify it with like children, like in child development. But but Marty kind of made me see it from a different perspective of like, I've lived this life of living, and these things now have value to me because of the weight of the history behind it.
Yeah.
Because with a kid, you're like, oh, you've only had this Binky for like a couple months. Like I can get rid of it now, you know?
Right.
But very interesting. Wow. Deep. Frasier. Bringing it.
It's not just tossed salad and scrambled eggs.
It isn't.
Yeah, so Niall thinks there's a very sound psychological basis for getting rid of the chair. He points out that Martin originally needed the chair to bridge the transition from his old life living with Frasier. But with all transitional objects, the time comes to put aside and reassert independence.
This is also, slight interjection here. Niles at this point does not have any children. So he's coming at this from a very academic viewpoint.
Yeah.
If Niles were a parent and he were like, his stance on transitional objects would be wildly different.
Exactly. Like I totally can identify with that. This was before he had his child or his bag of flour.
Exactly. But this is so true for a lot of things that I think we see throughout the series is Niles is so textbook academic, but his life experience doesn't always match the things that you know, his advice mirrors. And so I guess that's another one of those real contrasts between Niles and Frasier is like, you know, even though Niles doesn't really always respect the radio hosting advice, Frasier at least has more well-rounded lived experience than his brother.
True.
And you know, when Niles goes at it, it's almost like he has like, you know, the DSM-5 open when he's talking about people.
And then I love that he
goes, and by this point we have seen how clinical Niles approaches like life issues. Like he was very matter of fact about putting Martin in a home, and he's been very matter of fact about several things up to this point. So it's very much in line with how Niles
it's clinical.
Yeah, but not wrong. It's not wrong either. Like it's clinical, but what he's saying is not wrong. He's like actually being honest and saying, this is what's going on. Okay. We're done.
I think it's wrong. I just think it's missing some of the rounder qualities that life experience would have given to that. But it is it is also really good.
And also it's like missing brotherly warmth, because I think another brother would just be like, it's okay, like, you know, but he was just like very clinical, but he wasn't like, oh, I understand it could be tough for you. Like empathy. There was like no empathy there.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a Crane family kind of ethos. Like, why have a hug and a handshake will do?
That's right. It's so foreign to me. I can't. It's so, their family dynamic really blows my mind sometimes.
But it tracks when you think of like, this is Niles in adulthood, because like, where was his frame of reference for empathy and warmth?
You're right. I totally
not growing up.
I get Niles' point of view to an extent. I'm not a very sentimental person, as opposed to my mother and my sister and my father, who would keep every little thing. I'm very much, I could give it up quite easily, but I will say I still have my childhood soft toy.
All right, there you go. So much for transitional object.
I don't, but my kids do, and I wish I still had mine, so I protect my kids, but I don't have
I've held on to it.
Good for you.
Yeah, it just sits in a drawer, but I can't bring myself to get rid of it.
Yeah, mine's in storage. Mm.
Put it in a display case.
Spoken like someone who does not know what these objects look like, 30 plus years later. I have mine. It is raggedy. A display case would raise so many questions.
Now, would you be like Marty and ever duct tape your transitional toy? Or your transitional object? Are you allowed to disgrace it with duct tape?
Not duct tape per se, but I have given some thought to alterations. So mine was a stuffed toy that looked like Curious George, and the eyes fell off. And I have thought many, many times over the years, I'm like, what if I replace the eyes? Because it is very creepy that's the only thing that looks like it should, but it is unsettling to see a stuffed animal without eyes. So I have thought about replacing the eyes, but duct tape doesn't seem like the way to go. Oh, wow. That's good. What a weird and neat coincidence.
Anyway, transitional objects. So Frasier considers what Niles says. He won't be getting rid of a chair for himself, but he'll be doing it for Martin. Plus, it'll be nice payback for when Martin used Blanky to clean his service revolver.
That's still such an underrated joke.
Later, Frasier and Niles are at a furniture store looking for a suitable replacement chair. They manage to stop a salesman and ask about a chair. Niles indicates that ideally, and I love this.
Ideally, we're looking for something with the presence of a Mies van der Rohe and the playful insouciance of an early Le Corbusier.
This one vibrates.
Love this, and no notes. I mean, like, this is how I would like to be able to shop. Like, and like, if I don't know exactly what thing I want before I get into a store, I would love to use, specific cultural references so that I can be like, well, here's what I'm envisioning. Although they do get what they deserve in terms of the retail reaction.
So I had a look at the chairs, and I don't see Martin ever sitting in anything that resembles either of these chairs.
Not at all.
Really?
But that's his son's taste, not his. And that's the thing, is Niles is not speaking on behalf of Martin at all. If anything, Niles is trying to find something that would, fit in with Frasier's decor. Because
true.
Yeah.
Maybe he's trying to be interpreter. Like maybe he's trying to interpret Marty through Frasier, like try to be the
maybe. Although I love the direction that the retail clerk sends them instead.
It just goes over his head. He's just like, this lazy guy's pretty popular.
Like, get out of my store, you weirdos.
Buy a chair or leave.
Although, like, the back-to-back, like, comedic punches we get when they try out the chair, this is really one of the things that I think truly makes the episode.
I love what Niles says, where he goes, he'll rent an apartment and see it on the weekend. Like some mistress. Oh, God. But those massage chairs, they do make you feel that way, though. Every time I go to get a pedicure, I get him, like, you put in the massage chair and you're like, why don't I have one of these in my life?
You know what, though? Those chairs, I think, like, had a specific chokehold on people in the 90s because I don't know that they're as popular for, like, home use now. I mean, like, yes, like you said, at the nail salon, you'll run into them, and maybe like an airport lounge, but there was a moment, especially, circa 1994, when, like, Sharper Image really just kind of had us on these chairs.
Now they're in the malls, and you have to sit and enjoy it in public, and I feel like that's just...
That's too private of a moment.
It's too private of a moment. Or as Marty says, it's disgusting. Marty thinks it's disgusting.
So we spotted a black leather recliner that Frasier says wouldn't look hideous in his living room. Salesman says it's got Swedish massage, and Niles, who's initially reluctant, is immediately won over when the salesman fires it up.
Well, have a seat. This one's got Swedish massage.
Oh, no, thank you.
No, go ahead, Niles. Try it out. I'll fire it up for you.
That won't be necessary. I just like to sit in my chair. I don't really like to vibrate very much. No, thank you anyway.
It also has shiatsu.
I never knew a chair could be this satisfying. I never knew that anything could. I want it.
Right, Niles. I'm sure it would fit right in with all of Maris's 18th century antiques.
Well, then I'll just rent it an apartment and visit it on the side.
This might be one of those deeply underrated, but like should be a top 10 Niles moment.
Oh, definitely.
Like it's really
the first
pure.
He really stands out in that scene in this season 1 right there. That moment that stuck with me.
That unlocked so much.
Niles didn't know a chair could be this satisfying. In fact, he didn't know anything could. There's another dig at Maris, though. This time Niles is doing it.
I know.
Poor Maris.
Coming after Maris this episode.
She is hitting all the punches.
Niles insists Frasier sits in the chair, and he has a similar reaction to Niles. The chair is sold.
I love that we get a glimpse of both Crane brothers displaying the respective actors' differences in the way that they express the same emotion. Like, because they both obviously share the same impression of the chair, but we get like same reaction, different font.
Yes. And it was funny to watch each character go through it.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was interesting, too, that the characters that were more receptive to being vulnerable and physical touch, they like the massage. But Marty, he doesn't really like to be, don't touch me, like, don't, be. So it's funny how, because the massage chair, like, it's touching all over you. And it seems like...
I would almost argue that up to this point, Niles doesn't seem like he's very much of a physical touch kind of person. So, I think... That's why I like this as a shift for him, because he lets loose in a way that, we really haven't seen. And then, slippery slope to future Niles. But, it's an instant transformation. Like, I think anybody, if Frasier had sat in the chair first, you could be like, okay, this tracks. Niles doing it really just adds to the scene because it is different. I mean, like, this is, he's like, same thing as before. He's very clinical and he's not the most vulnerable, but he's also, he lives in the house he lives in, it's, and he's with Maris. And so nothing about any of that says that he's going to react so viscerally to a massage chair.
And I love with the massage chair how it kind of has this escalating comedy that's this running bit from scene to scene where Niles gets in it, loves it. Frasier gets in it, loves it. Daphne gets in it, loves it. And then Marty gets in it and he's
the punchline.
And good comedy is in threes, so yes, I loved it. This was such a good episode.
Truly. And this is only halfway through it. That's the best part.
I know, we're not even back at the apartment. The chair hasn't even made it to the apartment yet.
Well, at Frasier's apartment, Eddie is barking. Daphne tells Frasier that Eddie noticed the old chair was gone and suspects something's happened to Martin. Frasier tells the dog that if he threw Martin into Puget Sound, Eddie would have been the tiny splash that followed.
I love that. That was so...
Yeah.
Oh, poor Eddie.
Eddie becomes an accomplice later.
Yes, that is true.
The doorbell rings, and Frasier opens it to Leo, the building lackey. He brings in the new chair, bumping it into furniture on the way. Daphne admires the new chair, and Frasier tells her to sit and turns on the massage function. Daphne feels the chair could make her give up her search for a meaningful relationship.
I can relate. Because when I was in the massage chair at the salon, I was questioning a lot of that. Did you notice that Leo, the guy, he called her fish and chips?
Yes!
I thought that was so adorable.
Leo reminds me of the same sort of Seattle young person stereotype of the coffee shop guy from a couple episodes ago.
He reminds me of the guy from Clueless.
Oh yeah, like a grunge burnout. Yeah,
like a burnout. Yeah,
he's got beautiful hair. He's very long and flowing.
He does.
Yeah. It was beautiful, and he was doing, the little flow. I loved it.
The front door starts to open and Frasier pulls Daphne out of a chair, much to her dismay. Martin enters and Frasier reveals a new chair. He gets Martin to sit in it and starts up the massage function, which horrifies and disgusts Martin. He rejects the new chair.
Truly such a good punchline after the 3 escalations.
Some people have pointed out that Martin's chair had a massage function, but it's more of a vibrate, I think, where it shakes shakes him rather than.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sure it was broken by then too.
Plus, given the age of his chair, there's no way it has like distinct modes like Swedish and Shiatsu. You
Yeah.
know, this is a different
kind of
chair
massage.
entirely.
You can just sense that it's got all these little individual rollers just working the back and all the other bits.
Yeah.
Frasier calls Leo back into the room and Daphne asks him to get Martin's old chair. Leo says he can't. Someone took it. From Frasier's storage space? Oh no, not another day like last Tuesday.
Like,
what was going on?
That's such an economical joke because in like a couple of words, we realize everything we need to know about Leo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Leo put the chair next to the dumpster and someone snagged it. So something I noticed when I was rewatching it for the podcast is Daphne tells him that they got a leaky tap, and he goes into the kitchen to fix it. And when he comes back out, he's holding like the U-bend from the pipe, so he's taking like the sink apart.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on?
Not the brightest bulb.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just kept looking at that luscious hair of his.
Frasier escorts Leo out, telling him to search the building and neighborhood to find the chair. Martin's upset. Frasier's been trying to get rid of the chair since Martin moved in. That chair was the only thing that made Martin feel like it was his home too. Frasier argues that he's done nothing but try and make Martin feel at home. He takes the duct tape and applies it to the new chair, as well as tipping food and shaking Eddie over it, claiming that's how Martin likes his furniture.
I hated that.
Asked to do that.
That made me feel so uncomfortable. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh no. And he threw the peanuts on there. Jeez, Frasier.
It's also it's so misguided, like from so many angles, because the condition of the chair was not even remotely why Marty was attached to it. But also like, but if Frasier's thinking practically at all, if he's gonna return that chair, why would he do any of this?
Exactly. No, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Sitcom self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Frasier tells Martin if he doesn't like this chair, he'll get him any chair he wants.
All right, I'll tell you what chair I want. I want the chair I was sitting in when I watched Neil Armstrong take his first step on the moon. And when the U.S. hockey team beat the Russians in the '80 Olympics. I want the chair I was sitting in the night you called me to tell me I had a grandson. I want the chair I was in all those nights when your mother used to wake me up with a kiss after I'd fallen asleep in front of the television. You know, I still fall asleep in it. And every once in a while, when I wake up, I still expect your mother to be there ready to lead me off to bed. Oh, never mind. It's only a chair.
Ugh. Heartstring tug.
Yeah, it's such a good emotional speech. Like, John Mahoney just knocks it out of the ballpark, I think.
Yeah.
Really. But I think that's really where we get that full circle moment of this is not a transitional object. It is a sentimental object. And so, like, Niles was just wrong.
Yes.
Monday morning at KSCL, Roz asks Frasier how his weekend was. Hellish. He starts his show and makes personal appeal for the chair, offering a handsome reward for its safe return.
This is it goes exactly as expected because the general public is not going to care and they will make jokes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the equivalent of just posting on the internet.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of a meme.
Yeah.
I like Roz's date that she talks about. She completely ignores Frasier when Frasier's like,
yeah.
She's like, great. Here's how mine went. Had hot date Saturday.
With a minister.
She runs into the minister.
Oh, Roz is Fleabag before Fleabag.
I haven't seen Fleabag. I should.
It's a must-watch. Entirely different from Frasier in every way, but still a must-watch.
My current obsession is Severance.
Same.
I know.
That finale is 76 minutes, and I will enjoy every one of them equally.
I'm looking forward to it so much. I love Patricia. I'm like, we're going on a tangent here, but I love Patricia Arquette.
Go for it.
Actually, after the last episode of Severance, I was like, watch Lost Highway again.
Anyway, later, he's just finished a call and checks for updates on the chair. Apparently, it's been spotted at the top of the Space Needle in the governor's mansion. Fraser is not amused. He goes to a commercial and enters Roz's booth, fuming, where Roz has just finished the call. She found the chair. So, I just want to point out that KECL 780, which has the Fraser transcripts, I use them to write the synopsis. It's got a note here that says, because one of the comments is that someone saw it like flying over his house but just thought it was a spaceship from a tacky planet. And there's a note here that says, Roz's tacky planet line is strangely prophetic. 8 years later, when the original chair was deliberately destroyed in the episode Blase Boy, the technical crew had a hard time finding the right material for the replacement they built until one of them spotted it on an old set from the original Star Trek.
Oh, wow.
What an interesting outcome.
How Star Trek used that fabric.
Look at that.
I am dying to know which episode that came from.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, the transcripts have some nice little trivia tidbits.
Yeah,
I love that.
Very nice. I'm gonna have to look for these.
Yeah, I used to.
Definitely.
This is how obsessed I was with Frasier, but I used to read the transcripts when I wasn't watching the episodes. back when it was Frasier Files on GeoCities.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
So, fun fact: Australia free-to-air TV. I don't know about paid TV because we didn't have it, but it took them a very long time to play the last 2 seasons of Frasier. So we didn't get those until 2 years after the show ended.
Oh wow!
So to fill the gap, they played Frasier constantly, and they'd get to season 9, episode 24, and then start the series again.
Wow.
So I've solely relied on the transcripts to know what happened in those 2 seasons for 2 years.
Oh, that's wild.
Even now, those last 2 seasons feel different to me because I just saw them through the lens of reading the transcripts before I actually watched them. So
that
feels separate.
So fascinating.
Yeah, I don't know why they delayed it for so long, and then they basically sped through the series when they did it. It's not like Frasier wasn't popular here. It's still running. It's still on TV, but yeah, for whatever reason, they just took forever to play the last 2 seasons. After his show, Frasier arrives at a high school auditorium where several students and a rather frazzled teacher are putting the final touches on the set of the play. The chair is a prominent part of the set. Frasier tries to get the teacher's attention, but she ignores him, instead summoning her students around to give a pep talk. They disperse, and the teacher, Miss Warren, finally gives Frasier the time of day. She tells him that in 45 minutes the curtain goes up on a very shaky production of 10 Little Indians.
10 Little Indians? I thought I recognized the mise-en-scène. I did this play years ago. On the contrary, Major, many a psychotic killer would appear to be quite normal. You see, you can never suspect that underneath that calm exterior there lies the heart of a maniac. Happens to be true, by the way.
Who are you?
I love how he just goes into it. It's just
First of all, I feel for that teacher. Oh my God, can someone give her a cigarette break? Because she needs it.
Truly. Oh man. So many weird little thoughts around this scene. First, we have to call out the Brittany Murphy cameo as one of the child actors.
So adorable. I love
amazing.
So great. So cute.
But the other thing is the play itself. This is really fascinating because this episode aired in 1994. Mm-hmm. So 10 Little Indians, the play was based on the novel by Agatha Christie that has actually undergone many different name changes for various reasons, and usually where the original name not at all appropriate, the rename also not appropriate, and so by the time this episode was filmed, it was actually almost a decade after that title had been completely renamed to And Then There Were None. So the fact that they're using the old naming is really, really kind of interesting because it's very oh, this is classic Agatha Christie, but I'm yeah, but it was in the 80s that they changed it. So I thought that was fascinating. And from that vantage point, but also the character that Frasier played and knows all the lines for is like, he's like the red herring murderer accomplice. This is wild. Like, I find this just really, really just
was
perfect.
the role that Frasier played a meaningful role, or was
yeah okay, so first off, this is one of Agatha Christie's best works, even, setting aside all the title controversy. I don't actually want to spoil the ending, but read it. You'll get through it very fast. It has it's considered one of the most compelling puzzle-based murder mysteries, because at the end you have an island, there are 10 victims, and no one is there to have done it. So like, it's just it's really, really just well crafted example of the mystery genre. So I personally was like very connected to like Frasier's feelings about it in this episode, because I was like, I read that work so many times when I was a kid. Yeah, Frasier, I get you.
and it left a profound mark on him, because he was able to recite those lines just like that. Even though she called it, what did the teacher call it? Overly hammy?
Yes, hammy overacting, which is fair. But yeah, but that's also very much like Kelsey Grammer's stage style. So it's perfect. Like, this is just such a great little amalgam of like Kelsey Grammer's actual like theatrical performances, exactly how Frasier would feel about and interpret a puzzle-based mystery. Like, all of this is just like perfect. But the best part is the director claims that the chair is pivotal. There is no reason that chair has to be on that stage. Like, there is none at all.
As well.
No, and that's the best part, because like I could totally see this if they'd chosen anything else. Like, there's other examples even in Agatha Christie's body of work where like a specific piece of furniture might make a difference. This is not one of them. It's just such a throwaway remark that isn't true.
Look at that.
You know what's funny? Like, I didn't even realize that like this episode was gonna jog that little mini rant for me. But
we went deep on that memory.
I like, as soon as I rewatched this episode, I was like, I know too much about this topic. So, Frasier's relatable in that moment.
Yeah. Miss Warren asks who he is. Dr. Frasier Crane. From the radio? She doesn't seem to recognize him. Never mind. He's here for the chair. Miss Warren tells him he can't take it. It's the most entertaining thing on stage. He can have it back in 2 weeks.
Like, I don't even have anything else to say about that. She's
Couldn't he have waited 2 weeks, though? But I guess it was so important to Marty that he gets it ASAP.
Okay, it's important to Marty, but also, I mean, these kids are like busting each other's thumbs with hammers. I don't know if the chair would have made it. Like, these are middle schoolers with a tenuous grasp on competence. That chair would not have survived 2 weeks.
Okay, good point.
Also, Marty would have been sulking the entire time, so.
You're right.
Frasier says he can't wait and he's in a very difficult position. Miss Warren points out her own difficulties before telling one of the students that her anger is the type of anger she wants to see in his performance.
But not with hammy overacting.
Frasier speaks from the heart, appealing to Miss Warren's empathy.
Mrs. Warren, I realize that you're in an untenable position here, but I'm speaking to you now from the heart. You see, by putting this chair into the trash, I have wounded my father. I realize it's just a chair to you, but to him it is a treasure trove of life memories that I have thoughtlessly discarded because I didn't like the way it looked in my living room. I have sacrificed heart and soul for form and function. Believe me, I am terribly ashamed of myself for that. This chair is the last best chance to forge any kind of meaningful relationship with the only father I'll ever have.
People, were you all listening to that? Because you can learn a lot from this man. That speech he just gave is a perfect example of the kind of hammy overacting I don't want to see out of any of you for this entire run.
They don't even know their lines. How are they going to have like Frasier's impassioned, emotional pleas? But
Frasier starts to protest when one of the students appears from backstage. Her Dr. Armstrong has thrown up. It's not opening night jitters, it's stomach flu. This pleases Frasier. Miss Warren will have to cancel. You can't do 10 Little Indians without Dr. Armstrong. He would know it's the part he played.
It is true. That is a very pivotal character.
Isn't this why you have understudies?
Right? That's what I was thinking.
This is a middle school play and no one knows their lines. I don't think they're thinking this through.
Right, this isn't Broadway, Laura.
I love the contrast between like how severe this woman is and her earlier remarks that like this is just fun and easy and like your friends and family are here, and it's like, why are you treating them this way?
Do we think she's the regular drama teacher? Do you think she just got roped into putting in this play?
She was giving off the latter.
Yeah.
She has angry English teacher vibes. Like, yeah. Also, she vaguely visually she has this like, I don't know, like I think Simone, you said like someone get her a cigarette. She reminds me of the wife in The Shining, and I'm like, if you just give her a cigarette, that's her.
Yeah, she does give off Shelley Duvall vibes.
Yeah, it's the haircut and the outfit.
Yeah.
And the stress.
Miss Warren gets an idea and Frasier coins on quickly. How badly does he want the chair? Miss Warren starts ripping the duct tape up as Frasier protests. He played the part years ago and barely remembers the lines. Well, he'll fit right in.
Amazing. I also love how this is the mirror of the scene earlier when Frasier is putting duct tape on the other chair and throwing, stuff, including Eddie, onto the other chair. This is the complete like mirror scene to that.
Disassembly of the chair.
Yeah.
And I love how Frasier's been put in a choice where he's like a man with no options. Like he has to do this, but it's over a stinking chair. He's a desperate man in this moment.
He is. We fade to later after the play as the cast are taking their bows. In the middle of the line is Frasier, towering over the rest of the students, and Miss Warren presents him with a bouquet of roses.
But this is a good, I think, psychological lesson, which is funny though, is because it's like, if you just accept what's going on, you get to your profound happiness quicker. What do they call it? Radical acceptance. It's like as soon as Frasier just accepted that, yes, he hates this chair, and
but
yes, he made a big mistake, and yes, like the minute he's honest and just accepts it, look what happens. These good things happen.
Right. So. But because it's a sitcom, there's no easy path to that.
No. I bet Frasier enjoyed doing the play.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think so too.
100,000%. Okay,
and
first off,
part of me, like, Frasier, get over it. You want to be on the stage.
Right. I mean, the man is on radio for a living when he very easily could have a private medical practice. He wants people to notice him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the end credits, Frasier's trying to disguise the chair with a throw rug. Martin enters, removes it, and sits down. Eddie's lying on the sofa, leaving Frasier with the Eames.
I mean, again, why is the Eames somehow the last choice option?
But I do like how everyone's in their own little corner. Yeah. I like that. That was cute.
Well, I guess he doesn't really get a good view of the TV from the Eames.
Do you need a TV when you have an Eames?
Didn't he have a book in his hand? True. He was sitting down to read.
If I had an Eames, I would just never watch a day of TV. I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
I wouldn't need to. I would just, I will have reached self-actualization.
And I bet you Daphne is in her room with that chair. I bet you she cleaned it and she took it.
Well, you can't return it.
Personal moment with the shiatsu. Yeah, well, not after what Frasier did.
Exactly. So everybody's happy.
Except for Maris.
I would have loved if in future episodes when you see Daphne's room that the chair was just sitting in the corner or something.
That would have been be an excellent callback.
That would have been perfect. With her like drinking a glass she would be who knows, maybe some cucumbers over her eyes. Would have been perfect.
That's our episode.
So
I think it's another solid.
We had a lot.
Another solid season 1 episode, and like I said before, it's one I don't really think about until I watch it, and when I watch it, I'm like, yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, I felt like we had a lot to draw from in this episode. I think one of the reasons why, we were kind of talking about so many things is because this episode packed so many funny, great moments that were just It was such a good episode. I really do enjoy it, and I think I think at this point of the season, the viewers are starting to be rewarded for sticking it out because now things are building on top of each other, and there's callbacks to this and callbacks to that, and feel like you know each character so well that you know how they're going to react in situations, but it's not predictable. It's still enjoyable. So it's really fun.
Yeah, there was a good balance of each of the main cast as well. Like, you got a decent amount of Niles, Roz, Martin in this episode.
Yes. You did. Definitely. And you got the guests, the you know, like Brittany Murphy. It's like there was so much in this episode. The cast of kids, like that was, I mean, imagine being a kid on that show, you know, and like a child actor, kid actor, you know, and you're on this show called Frasier. You don't know if you're gonna make it big, and then a couple years later, you're in Clueless, which was like super big. Like, how awesome!
I remember Hilary Duff, who does a guest voice later in the series. She said that it's always looked good on her resume that she's got Frasier as a credit.
It's kind of like the Harvard of TV sitcoms.
Hold on. We missed a cameo. You want to talk about bringing star power? The author of The Male Menopause is Malcolm McDowell from, like, you know, A Clockwork Orange. Like, what? Like, the sneak heavy hitters that we get in this show. I had to look at him. I was like, I know that voice sounded familiar, but I couldn't think about why. Which also, like, it makes Roz's reaction even funnier.
Yeah. Well, sorry, listeners. Okay, now we're talking about some other stuff. This is gonna have to go like on a Patreon or something. But I just want to say this is the last tangent, and you can cut this out if you want. But I think that Frasier sometimes has like an SNL kind of level where people pass through the show that end up being stars, or they have like, and I think that that's something really cool that other sitcoms don't do. You don't ever really see a lot of sitcoms bring in guests every week, and they're either big high profile people like Jay Leno or these up and comings like Brittany Murphy, and then fast forward 20 years later and you see how they were in Frasier and they had that little part, and it's just so cool. I really like that. And it's like an SNL where, like, you know, Will Ferrell starts on the show and then he ends up being a big actor. So I feel like Frasier, he put a lot out in the TV.
Yeah. But he also got a lot of, like, the reverse direction is true as well. I mean, like, some of these guest stars were famous well before Frasier, and then you get them as like a voice for a caller, and that's the pull that this show had.
Yeah, I mean, even Michael Keaton came through. Yeah. He slid through. Well, he wheeled through. He weaseled through. But we'll save that for later.
But no, it's a show that has, it really has a lot of talent in its guest actors, and you wouldn't think, like, I feel like it's just such a brilliant use of having a guest actor be like just a call-in. Like, you're not always seeing the person on screen, but you get their voices.
Right. Yeah.
And it's also like a very sort of like low commitment sort of option for them, so they're more likely to get some bigger names to do it, because a lot of them would literally phone in for their lines rather than come in and record them or anything. So yeah, they technically don't have to turn up. They just have to spend like half an hour on the phone or something.
But they're still in a Frasier episode, and they've got that on, you know, like, it's like, I was in a Frasier episode, you know, it's like so cool. So cool.
Yeah, so it's season 1, episode 19. Give him the chair.
Give him the chair. Then take it back. Lose it, find it, and then bring it home again.
Next week's episode 20, is 40-something. I feel like this has this is one that people are a bit iffy on, especially from what I've seen on the subreddit. I think it's a mid-episode.
Okay. I don't remember, but I will. I'll keep my eyes out to see. Is it like mid, like, you know, a BB Glazer kind of? like what? How are we gauging?
Well, that sounds like a
Bulldog
for next week.
Yes. Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah, always fun.
Yeah, thank you for coming back each week and listening. It makes us feel good.
Yes. Until then.
Yeah.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs. They're calling again. Good night, Seattle. We love you.